My first post here, but I've been reading since April 17, 2021. My first E-Day. It's been a little more than a year since they last did anything. Now that I've done a lot of therapy and thought about myself, I'm finally ready to leave my 36-year-old wife of 38 years. There aren't many words that can fully describe how this makes me feel. I'm scared and hopeful, calm and worried, happy and sad. My Fitbit tells me that my heart rate is about 80 beats per minute, which is 10 beats more than normal. That's why I chose to write this, to tell myself not to give up. I thought that writing down all the bad things that have happened to me during the 13 years we've been together, we've been married for almost 8, would help me stay on track to get a divorce if I ever feel weak. To help you remember why I'm going, here is a list of bullet points. She drinks too much. When she drinks, she acts rude, disrespectful, and angry. The person she cheated on you with works for her and is her boss. They hooked up at work while they were supposed to be there, and they also booked hotels. Before you found the text messages, she used her work cell phone to make plans to meet up with an ex-boyfriend in secret. After you let her off the hook for cheating on you, you found out she had booked a hotel room for a night in August 2021 while you were away. When questioned, she denied it and tried to trick you. She finally told you she slept with the same friend again a week after you left the house to stay with family. You found that the time she agreed to have a tracker put on her phone, she had left it at a friend's house and had that friend text you as her. Her excuse was that she had forgotten her phone at Target. One time she came home drunk in the middle of the day and said she was at the gym. You finally got her to agree to start a new job and stop her affair partner from her phone and email, but then you found out she was hiding a second cell phone and talking to him on that one. She met up with her affair partner in secret for dinner on a night. She said she wanted to be alone because she just wanted to end the affair. She stayed at a hotel that same night. Her best friend, who forced her into taking out a $5,000 loan and has cheated on her own husband with many other women, has been helping your wife with everything and will keep doing so. She killed your baby 5 years ago so you don't have any children. There are no rules that say you have to sell the house. You can get your money and move on. She says she will change, but don't believe her. She has said this many times and will not change it. It seems like she's gotten smarter at hiding how bad she is. Leave and make your own life the way you want it. Oh my God, putting all that out makes me wonder why I've stayed for so long. Please accept my sincere thanks for all the help you have shown. She is being served while she is at work today, which makes things a little crazy. Today is my day off and I'm also moving my stuff out. I wish I had time to answer everyone, but I have a lot to do today. Here are some questions I get a lot in chats, notes, and messages. No, she doesn't know she's being served today. But I told her 2 days ago that I was going to get a divorce and wanted her to accept that. She agreed, but not before love-bombing me and saying she would change. I stopped everything she tried. I didn't want to tell HR about her, and I wouldn't tell anyone else to either. If I got a divorce and she lost her job, I would have had to pay her money. Since we both make about the same amount of money a year, she shouldn't be getting anything from me. We both own the house. I take care of everything around the house. Due to the fact that she doesn't do much with the house, I plan to stay there to help sell it. If she stays officially, I can't kick her out, so it might be hard to follow through with the ideal of full no contact. Today I'm moving my things to my dad's house so I can leave and stay there if everything goes wrong. Here is the most important thing you should know before reading the updates. Good for you for taking this step. Things will get better even though they may seem hard right now. I'm 38 too, and I can say that being single at our age is a lot of fun. It sounds interesting to me. I can't wait to live alone in my own room. Guy, how the hell did you stay with her for so long? You need to have left a long time ago. That song used to be something I always sang. I would look at other people who were in bad relationships and wonder why they kept going. I thought that would never happen to me. But I'm here. It's hard to leave someone after building a lot of things together. A lot of this has happened in the last 15 months. She had a drinking problem, but she was always honest about it and worked hard to fix everything. For a long time, she didn't drink anything. For years, she was sweet, kind, and caring, and it was great to be with someone like that. It seemed like she stepped up all of her bad behavior once the affair started, and I kept giving her chances. She has now lost all of her options. I see where you're coming from. For being so long, you would all think I was crazy if I typed out my list about my ex. I think I just put up with most of it because I was so numb. I'm not sure. Here's the first update. Hello, everyone. Again, thank you so much for your support after my last post in which I explained why I had finally chosen to cheat on my wife and file for divorce. That first bump feels good to be over, but I know the road ahead is still long and will have many obstacles. Finally, despite all the bad things that happened over the weekend, I feel strong now that I'm back in charge of my life. In any case, here's what did happen since Friday. She is clearly upset and insecure when she gets home from work, but she does her best to act like nothing happened. She said that she had never been given the papers, and she wrote down the things that were missing from my bag in the cat box. She told me to put the cat box away and put everything back where it belonged. She also said she was going out with a friend and that I should be home when she got home. I packed up the car and drove to my dad's house after she left. For some reason, I didn't feel safe around her. The ring boozer caught her coming home just after 10 p.m. At about 11:30 p.m., it caught her again in one of the weirdest and scariest ways I have ever seen my wife act. Then she danced and sang the chorus of Brandy and Monica's "The Boy Is Mine" as she left the house. She sang the chorus and a few more lines of the song, then walked back up the front steps and tried to pull the Ring doorbell out, but she failed. She then went back inside the house. It was clear that she was drunk, and I was glad I had decided to leave the house and stay with my dad. The video was saved and I sent it to my lawyer. Her friend picked her up at 5 a.m. on Saturday because they were going to the outlets for the day. I went home and looked around the house. Luckily, everything looked fine, and she didn't seem to have heard anything. It was early evening when she got home, but she still acted that everything was fine. No papers were ever served on her. I didn't pay attention to her and stayed on the couch by myself. She finally came over, sat down, and admitted that she had received the papers. She then tried a number of different ways to get me to drop the divorce. Over the course of 2 to 3 hours, she talked about everything and threatened, teased, begged, negotiated, pleaded, love-bombed, and made me feel guilty. I didn't give up. I told her I was unhappy and wanted to leave because I was sick of being lied to, mistreated, and mentally tortured by her. She admitted that she liked treating me badly, which surprised me, because the fact that I put up with it every time I stayed with her showed her how much I loved her. I quickly pointed out that was wrong, but she said that was just the way she was, and that she would never sign divorce papers. Things are now calmer. Even though there is still stress in the house, we are getting along and keeping things civil. My lawyer told me that she has seen this happen a lot of times in her years of experience as a divorce lawyer. She said that she will become angry and attack once all of her strategies fail, and she sees that the divorce is not going to end. That's what I'm getting ready for next. Yes, this is the beginning of a very long fight. But I keep thinking about the end goal. Me by myself, able to take care of myself in my own space, no longer being tormented. I can't wait for that day at all. She went shopping after being given divorce papers. Please make sure you have enough money, change your will, and stop any automatic payments for bills, especially credit cards. The closing talk is over. If you were still not sure that you were making the right choice, she should have taken away any doubts right then. It's time for full gray rock form. You can learn more about these methods in the Healing Library on survivinginfidelity.com. Talk to your lawyer to find out if you need to live together. It's better for your emotional health to be away from each other, and she can't accuse you of bad things if you're not there. In all truth, the trip was planned before she was served. She didn't have any bags of things she had bought when she got home. She told me she needed to save money when I asked her if she bought anything. But thanks. I'm going to check out that site. My lawyer says there are no consequences if I leave and then return to my dad's house. I'm still not sure if I want to leave, though. Narcissists are very mean to the people they care about, and if those people stay in their lives, it makes them feel even better about how great they are and why anyone would ever leave them. She knows she's not as special as she thought because she wants to get a divorce. As the split goes on, she will likely become very mean. Someone who is narcissistic will think that the divorce is your fault and that you never valued her. They will also think that the problems in the relationship are your fault. Thanks a lot. This is exactly right. At first I didn't understand this, but as time has gone on, I see that exactly what you are saying here is true. Last but not least, it's been a little over 3 weeks since I gave my wife the divorce papers. Again, thank you very much for all the help and nice words. Many people, including myself, have found comfort in this wonderful group after losing someone close to them. Many people have been asking me what's going on, so I thought I'd give you the news on what's been going on and maybe share some of my own thoughts on it all. At least things have cooled down. I did what everyone here, my doctor and my lawyer, told me to do and left the house. It was my hope that we could live together and I can stay in my own home. But one night things got worse and I knew I couldn't live with her. At the time, I was sleeping in the guest room. She said something mean one night, but I don't remember what. In the evening, she lightly knocked on my door. When I answered, she was crying and saying she was sorry for what she had done. I told her thank you and to leave me alone. She yelled obscenities at me from the other side of the door after closing it. Then she went downstairs and kept yelling at me, calling me a stupid jerk. I heard over and over, along with many horrible insults against me and my family. Luckily, there were no signs of violence coming, but I sat above her in the room and hoped she would stop swearing and yelling. She did in the end, but I slept that night with the door locked and decided the next day to leave. I started packing the rest of my things after she left for work the next morning. Since I work from home, I was able to pack up my car before work and during my lunch break. I got in my car with one of the cats after work and went to my dad's house, where I've been since. It's quiet here most of the time. No one lives in the house, and many of the rooms were mostly used for storage. It was fun to get rid of old stuff in an upstairs bedroom and buy new furniture. I'm liking my room a lot right now. I have wanted a game room for as long as I've been married, and that's what I've been working on, making this room. I even got a new bed for myself. It's one of those bases that you can change, and it even starts massaging you. It may have been a bit much, but I wanted to be happy and relaxed where I live. As I type this, I can say for sure that I'm thrilled to be here. I even got an email confirming my Steam Deck, which was a nice extra from Valve. They must have known I was having a rough time and needed something fun. We have talked to each other a little, but not much. That's why I've been going over on the weekends to check on things and get anything else I might have forgotten. My wife doesn't clean or really know how to take care of the house. Her tone has changed for sure. She begged me not to go through with the divorce, saying she was responsible for everything that was wrong in the marriage and was willing to have the open policy I had been asking for. She also swore that she broke up with the guy she was seeing. I don't believe it. This is how my wife looks, and I've seen it a lot of times. She will go back to her old bad ways as soon as the dust settles. For now, it's nice to hear from the person who has caused me so much pain that she is taking credit for everything she has done, even if it's only a show and doesn't last. She is a person who has a lot of personal problems that I have helped her with. I find it pretty amazing to think about all the things I've helped her with over the years, through good times and bad. When I stopped by her house last Sunday, I saw her. It's a mess, and there are empty wine bottles all over the place. There was a lot of noise coming from the bathroom when I got there. She walked out and said she was drunk from the night before. As I stuck to the gray rock method and didn't interact with her in any way, her sadness grew. She told me several times, "You don't even care," while fighting back tears, clearly trying to get me to give in. She is working hard to turn me back into a toy she can play with. But it's not working. I feel bad seeing her like this, but I have lost the drive to help her because I know I can't. Being able to accept that really does feel good. I sometimes question why I stayed for so long, but I'm happy with how things have turned out and with the choices I've made. In April 2021, I found out she was cheating on me. In August of that same year, I found out she did it again. And for many, that would have been enough. But I stayed because, as my doctor told me, a year ago I wasn't ready to leave. I'm now. This had to be finished so I could be sure that the issue wasn't with me. It was with her, and there's nothing I can do about it. Either I have to deal with constant loss or I have to leave. I made the decision to leave. I didn't know those were the only cards on the table a year ago. I believed I could alter my behavior and make the relationship work. I messed up. My family tried to teach me, but I had to learn it on my own, without being told. You have to choose to leave your partner, not someone else. That's the most important thing. This is what I choose. I'm taking responsibility for it, and little by little my life is getting better. Learning an important lesson in life is very rewarding, and this hard-won information is very helpful for personal growth. It was painful to listen to her BS, but I had to learn on my own. I'm not embarrassed to say that I stayed through all of the problems. Being able to finally accept everything and move on with my life makes me feel very proud of myself. All the things I've put off for a long time are now getting done. A lot of work is going into making a nice game room for myself. I wrote a book a few years ago, but I never tried to get it published. I wanted to write another book, and I'm happy to say that I have started. I had put all of these things off for years because my marriage was more important. It feels so good to finally spend time doing things I enjoy. I'm going on and getting better while she's drinking herself to death. Putting my attention on myself makes me feel so good. The house where my dad lives is very important to my family. A lot of memories here. When he was young, my grandpa moved here from Portugal and bought the land where he grew up in Portugal. He lived off the land and grew his own food. He wouldn't eat if he didn't do that. So when he got here, he bought a big piece of land, built a house, a barn in the backyard, and a garden with crops. There was hope for a better future in this house. Besides chickens, he also had horses, cows, goats, and sheep. My dad and his brothers grew up, and the land became less populated by animals and more populated by family and freedom. My uncles formed rock bands and turned the horse pens in the barn into places to practice. They played with the animals that were still there. My dad brought me here on the weekends when I was born. He and my mother got a divorce when I was only a few months old, but they were still friendly. On the weekends, my dad and I were free to roam this land. As a child, I thought it was heaven. It was great having no rules, a lot of space to play on, and a great dad who loved me and let me be free. When I was 8 or 9, he bought me a dirt bike. I used to ride that bike on the front yard, around the barn, and everywhere else on the property. My grandma always told me I was tearing up the grass. While I was riding by the front of the house, she would yell at me to slow down. I would laugh at her and go faster around the house and through the orchard. My dad would sometimes open the window to his room upstairs and climb out on the roof at night. During the middle of the night, he would get me to go with him. We would lie on our backs in the dark and stare up at the stars, talking about how to travel the universe and whether there is life somewhere out there. I broke out of my house last night through the same window. I sat on the roof in my pajamas, looked up at the stars, and cried while thinking about life. I cried because I was sad, but mostly because this house made me remember the freedom and hope I had as a child. Back then, I was always so excited about what life would bring. I was excited to become an adult, be a good person, and live a true, happy life. Those feelings went away for a long time, but they are slowly coming back from under the wreckage of a failed marriage. I'm excited to see what comes next because I believe in a better future. I still think you should talk to your agent and let the boss know when it's time. She is aware of how unsure and passive she is. The stories of being mistreated will keep coming up after the split. You need to shake her picture. Man, I read your last 2 posts. You should be made a saint for being with her for so long. When you met and started dating, did you notice any signs that the other person might be narcissistic? But if I ever decide to date again, I want to know all the red flags there are. I'm divorced and happy being single right now. Thanks for the nice words. It has certainly been a rough time. Before we got married, my wife was sweet, kind, caring, and thoughtful. When we moved in together, that was the first red flag I saw. She would keep things for herself. It was annoying to live with her, so this was one of her less serious selfish traits. Every time I cleaned out the closet, it was full of clothes again the next day. She would buy new clothes but never wear them. The tags would still be on them and they would just sit in the closet. I knew it was an issue, but I never realized how deep the rabbit hole went with her. She has an obsessive-compulsive shopping addiction, which I never realized was such a major problem until we combined finances. For the first year, I was actually kind of grateful she wasn't a more excessive drinker, as my ex before her was an alcoholic. I've got an older sister who is an alcoholic. My ex, in comparison to my sister, never seemed like much of a problem. It was only once we started to live together that her drinking problem became more apparent. It was also at this time that her demeanor and behavior completely changed. She started acting cold, callous, and indifferent. The person I fell in love with had been replaced with someone who would lie and manipulate to get what she wanted, even if it was something she wanted and never used or interacted with. She would even go as far as to wear the new clothes I bought her, only to purposely spill something on them after the first wear so they would be unwearable. So, yes, I did see some red flags early on, but they were not as significant as the issues I would encounter later. Dude, thank you for sharing this. I was where you are a few years ago, but I didn't have the courage or the resources to pull the plug, so I slogged through it. It's tough, and I wish I had bailed earlier. My STBX was a master manipulator and gaslighter. It's been a long journey to recover from the emotional and psychological abuse, but life does get better after divorce. You're still young, and you have a lot of life ahead of you. Keep focusing on yourself, healing, and rebuilding. You'll come out of this stronger and wiser. If you ever need someone to talk to, feel free to reach out. Stay strong and keep moving forward. Thanks a lot. It's never too late to make a change and start living the life you want. I commend you for having the strength to endure what you went through. Emotional and psychological abuse can be just as damaging as physical abuse, and it takes a toll on your mental well-being. I'm glad to hear that you're on a path to recovery, and I appreciate the support. Life does indeed get better after divorce, and I'm looking forward to the journey ahead. If you ever need someone to talk to as well, feel free to reach out. Stay strong and keep moving forward as well. Hey, I just wanted to say that I admire your courage in making this decision. It's not easy to walk away from a long-term relationship, especially when there's so much history and emotional investment. Your list of reasons for leaving is clear and honest, and it's apparent that you've thought this through. It's crucial to prioritize your own well-being and happiness. The road ahead may have its challenges, but it also holds the promise of personal growth, self-discovery, and the opportunity to build a life that aligns with your values. Wishing you strength, resilience, and all the best on your journey forward.